with one of the pro bodybuilder, Mr. Jeff Long. How are you today?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm fantastic, man. I'm good to have you down here. Jeff, lots of people know about you in the United States as a pro bodybuilder all over the world. For those behind the scene who don't know you, just introduce yourself to those guys, and so give us some information about yourself.
I'm IFBB pro Jeff Long, for people who don't know me. And you know, I've been competing for about 8 years now. Won my pro card in 2009 at the NPC Nationals, and been my 3rd year of competing as a pro. And you know, I still haven't reached my goal of you know, stepping on the Olympia stage, the Arnold Classic stage, but eventually, you know, give it time, I'll get there.
Well, you're already there. So, Jeff, as you mentioned, you're a pro bodybuilder. How difficult is it to be a pro bodybuilder these days?
It's easy. No, it's really hard. You know, the dedication, the discipline of you know, not just training, but dieting. You know, I'm on a diet 365 days a year, 7 days a week, and on top of it, you know, if you know, some pros, you know, they have kids, you know, they have families. You know, I don't have kids yet, but I have a wife. You know, so I still got to make time for my wife. You know, I still got to make time for my, you know, my parents and things like that. So, you know, everything, you know, it's a lot. It's hard.
It's very difficult, as you just mentioned. Jeff, this is the personal question. You know, when you're growing up as a young teenager, okay, or young kid, you know, your sport was your bodybuilding, or whether you had a different hobby beside being a bodybuilder?
Hobbies, probably video games, but sports, I think it was, you know, I started bodybuilding. Well, it wasn't necessary to say bodybuilding, but lifting weights when I was 10, 11 years old. And, you know, obviously I never stopped, but sports-wise, I played football for like a year, but my main actual sport was wrestling. I wrestled for about 8 years, you know, through grade school, through high school. I didn't wrestle in college. I didn't want to wrestle anymore. I decided to take the other route and pursue bodybuilding, because after being a college wrestler, if I did go that route, where would I go? I'm 5'6". I wouldn't make it in a WWF, so I decided, you know, let me take the other road and go as a bodybuilder.
And as a bodybuilder, how you found it these days?
How do I what?
How do you found it? Are you happy to be a bodybuilder?
Yeah, I'm happy. You know, I have my bad days. I have my good days. You know, the good days is when I'm allowed to eat. I'm allowed to eat whatever I want when I'm not dieting. So I guess the bad days are when I'm close to a show. I'm starving. You know, I don't want to talk to anybody. You know, I just want to. I have no energy to do anything.
Right. You mentioned about the food and your training and your diet. Okay. As when you're on season, as regarding your diet, what is your best food? What is your best diet routine?
For contest prep, I stick to a lot of fish, a lot of white fish. Every now and then I might, you know, if I want some fats, I'll do salmon. But the staple point of my diet is mainly fish. I cycle my carbs, and I stay very low fats.
And when you're bulking up, how's your diet then?
Pizza, burgers, donuts. No, when I'm bulking up, my diet really doesn't change much. I just don't eat fish as much as I eat when I pre-contest. I eat a lot of chicken and a lot more carbohydrates, as in, you know, potatoes, rice, oatmeal, cream of rice. I just eat a lot more, but basically the food stay the same.
This is another food question for you. When you're on a diet, very strict diet for pre-competition, what is your cheat meal, or if you have any cheat meal?
If I have a cheat meal, I always like to have like a burger, just because, you know, it's got a lot of fat from the red meat. The meat naturally has like creatines in it, and it's, you know, it helps you stay anabolic instead of having something like, you know, pizza or donuts or something really bad for you. But usually around 12 weeks out at contest time, I cut all my cheat meals out, unless we need to do like a refeed day where I need to pack in a lot of calories. Then I'll have like a burger or something.
Cool. And that's a lot of knowledge about diet. As regarding your training, okay, how often do you train yourself? You know, pre-competition, post-competition, how often do you train? This is the information for those lads out there. So, because some of the lads say, well, we have to train 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day. It's just, as a pro bodybuilder, what is your, hourly rate for training as a daily training?
Training, I don't get too fancy with it. I try to keep it simple, basic. I train usually 2 hours a day in my off season because I'm not really doing as much cardio as I do in the pre-contest. But my training wise, I stick to a lot of volume. I go heavy, but I go with a lot of volume. I just don't. A lot of people they'll have a workout where, all right, I got to do 4 sets of this. Me, I don't really count my sets. I go to failure. I go to a lot of volume, just like guys did back in the 70s and 80s. And then, what was the other question?
The other question was, the hourly time you put in the day or daily, you put into your training. How many hours a day you train?
Normally it's about 2 hours a day in the off season. And then when I start pre-contest, my training stays about 2 hours. But then when I add in cardio twice a day at the peak of my pre-contest diet, I'm usually totally in the gym, total hours, about 4 hours a day.
Now I'm just going to ask you another question about yourself as regarding your supplementation, okay? What do you take as a supplement as a pro bodybuilder, for bulking, for dieting? The supplement you use and you think is going to help the guys out there to help them to do the trainings?
To be honest, I think the supplement-wise, I tend to stay with a basic whey protein isolate or a casein protein like before I go to bed. Glutamine, branched chain amino acids, and maybe some creatine. Other than that, I really don't get into like testosterone boosters or anything fancy like that. I stick to the basic supplements, and I try to get most of my nutrition through foods.
Well, that is true. Now I know this is your first time with Olimp. How do you find the Olimp supplement? I know you tried the BCAA and the whey protein. And what do you think about those supplements?
I think the protein actually has a really good taste. I tried other proteins, and they leave you with like an aftertaste. I guess it's because of maybe the sweetener. But with this, I can't really taste the sweetener. If it's chocolate, it tastes like chocolate. The branched chain amino acids are good. Obviously, I haven't really tested them out in my training, but I'm only testing them out over the weekend. But so far, so good. Good.
I'm glad that's good. But as you got it at closing range, I noticed you got obviously this is one of the best design Olimp t-shirts and also the trunks. What do you think about those?
The clothing I think is really, I want to say, unique. It's not like a lot of other companies where they just throw their logo on there and then that's it. It's like it's like they took time to put the effort, the time into the clothing. It's very good quality. And it's very soft. It's not that cheap materials.
Well, it is a high quality material, as you mentioned. As you're a young bodybuilder yourself, okay? Who did you look up as a pro bodybuilder, as a legend? Who was your inspiration as a bodybuilder?
Honestly, it was Arnold. Just like probably every other bodybuilder out there. I watched Pump and Iron for the first time when I want to say 10, 11 years old. And I remember turning to my dad, because I was actually watching it with my dad, and I was like, I want to look like him one day. So that's just what actually got me started lifting. I asked my dad, I told my dad I want to look like this, and he goes, well, you can look like that, and even better, younger than he was if you start now. So the next day, I believe I was my dad took me down in the basement, and I started training.
Well, that's what it pays off as well.
Also, another person that inspired me also with the legs was Tom Platz. King of legs.
That's one of the legends as well. Right, I've got another question, personal question, if you don't mind me asking. You're a family man, I presume.
Yeah, I have family.
How difficult did you find it, to leave your partner to come to, Spain? How difficult would that be for you?
Now it's a lot better than it was when I first started. Like, me and my wife have been together for 7 years, so she was with me when I was an amateur, and she came to like my competitions and stuff like that. But as an amateur, I really didn't travel a lot, So when I turned pro, that's when I started traveling 10, 15 times a year. And, you know, the first year was kind of like, you know, I missed her, this and that, this and that. But now that I'm so used to it, she's used to me being on, it's like we adapted to it, and, you know, it's good. You know, we still miss each other, but, you know, we're used to it.
It's very difficult. When is your next competition, Jeff?
Oh, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe the Arnold Classic in March. If not the Arnold, I want to come overseas again and do like the FIBO. Yeah, probably the FIBO, or I don't know, probably the FIBO. And if I don't do the FIBO, I'll do the New York Pro, which is right in my backyard.
Well, Jeff, I wish you all the best in the future for you. Before we go ahead, I'm gonna go. I know you're busy today. You know, if anything, any motivation, inspiration, any advice you want to give the Polish viewers out there, because they love bodybuilding. Lots of guys in Poland absolutely love bodybuilding. In fact, most of them, I would say. And as a pro, any advice you want to give them, fire away, my man.
Advice to the young guys would be, don't try to pack on too much mass so fast. You know, let your body, you know, take it slow. You know, let the quality gains come slow. Don't rush it. And just be smart about your training. You know, don't train stupid. You know, train very smart. You know, to prevent injury. Because if you get injured, you know, you're screwed. Then you're out of the gym.
Well, guys, if you listen to Jeff as a pro bodybuilder, you could follow his footsteps and get to your goal. As Jeff says and Mario says, you have to be smart here, not there, and your arms. You have to be smart in your head. So, guys, I wish you all the best. I wish you all the best as well, Jeff. And we will catch you in FIBO, definitely. I would love to see you there compete, and I'll come see you. Thanks for that. Bless. Bye-bye.